Hey everyone, Horseman here. Today I'm going to be bringing to you the Dusk Mage discussion that I promised last week. And this time I took a different approach to the video than I did in the previous one. So last time what I did was I had a build because I wanted to show you how well it could perform, right? This time I did something different because I felt like I was doing y'all an injustice by not showing you the actual abilities that I was talking about. So, in this video, I will be doing that differently because I got a little bit of everything. So, I am level 16 right now, and with that being said, I don't have the level 20 abilities yet, but that's fine because my plan is in the next, I think, on the 30th of this month, they are going to be releasing the new act as well as a huge patch, okay? And since they're going to be releasing a big patch, they're going to be having some updates, and things are probably going to be working a little bit better. So I knew that I was going to end up doing some more videos to show the effects of the those fixes and whatnot. With that being said, up to level 15, I'll give you a taste of what all of the abilities could do, and kind of show you how they work in, kind of how they work right now. So having only 1 point in each of these really does kind of hurt my ability to kill things when I'm fighting things or monsters at the same level as I am. It's not horrible, but it is enough to be noticeable, especially when fighting bosses. Regular dudes on the that I'm fighting here and there, no big deal. But what I see here is at least an opportunity to give you a feel for what abilities that I like and what abilities that I think are a waste of time or need some work. So I'll demonstrate them all here in my beautiful fort. See, it's got some upgrades. Fully upgraded the Furious World Dasher. Working on the high vid. My trees I'm still working on. Back. Let's do a little bit more. May as well. I don't need it. Alright. So, what I'm going to do. The Dusk Mage uses a force called mana. If you had any experience with the Ember Mage and are expecting exactly the same thing, it's not exactly the same thing, but this is the magic user for this game. And it does something a bit different. Rather than elements, you have dark and you have light. And that's it. There's no lightning, no fire, no ice, no anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over its resource. I'm going to go over each of the skills, talk about what the different tiers do, show you the tooltips, and as well as show you the 2 relics that I got on this character, and show you why I didn't like one of them. Alright, so here we go. Mana. You have the dark side and you have the light side. And as you use light abilities, it will fill up the dark side. And as you use dark abilities, it will fill up the light side. And both of them have perks to them. As you can see here in the tooltip, that filling up the dark side will give you a damage increase for a small duration of time, and when you fill up the light bar, it will significantly boost mana regeneration, which is going to be helpful because in a good fight, you're going to be using quite a bit. Now, granted, the abilities don't yet use a ton of mana, which is great, but it is still nice to have it there so you don't run out of that resource. And let's go ahead and get into the abilities themselves. We're going to go over the light ones first. So let me pour some of these on here. And I'll show you, I'll briefly go over the tooltip and also show you how they actually work. Okay, so the first one. This is going to be the default. You will already have it, no matter what. As soon as you make the character, this is what you're going to have. Holy Bolt is a light skill that does 188 weapon damage. It uses 2 mana, and its tier bonuses are, while Holy is charged, it will fire 2. So when that light bar is filled, it's going to fire 2 Holy Bolts. The tier 2 bonus will do plus 20% light skill damage, and on the tier 3 bonus, every third cast fires a larger bolt that deals double the damage. So the issue that I have with this particular skill is that it is boring. Oops, wrong button. It is boring, okay? It's just that. Single target, doesn't do much of anything, and it also uses a pretty significant amount of mana. Now granted, the mana bar fills up very rapidly like you see here, and as I fight enemies, which I guess I can go ahead and go do in some easy area, as you fight enemies, that dark bar will fill, and that's going to be really the primary reason why you want to use this particular skill, especially in the beginning, because honestly, the dark skills are better. they are heavier damaging, and they look cooler, and it's just good to be one with the dark side anyway, right? Darth Vader would be proud. Okay, so let's go kill something. Pop, 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 pop. And you can see the bar filling as I go. Pretty neat. Does a good job. Alright, the second ability. Holy Fury. Now this is going to be a channeled ability. I do like this ability. It does... It kind of like Ice Beam in Diablo 3, except it pierces all the way through. And it does a moderate amount of damage. It is AoE, so it can take, if you line it up right, you will take out quite a few bit of bad guys all at the same time, and I like that about it. So, Tier 1 bonus. It cuts down the Holy Fury mana cost. Tier 2, 10% critical chance for light skills. Cool. And Tier 3, Holy Fury is doubled in width, which is great, because it is kind of a skinny little ability. Just like that. And you can kind of turn yourself into a lighthouse. Sure, my son would like that. Let's see. Let me fill it up and get his attention. Hey, Gene, check it out. He's like, whoa. Anyway, it's a nice little ability. I use it on my regular build. I do not like Holy Bolt. I think that Holy Fury is going to be a much better choice. Alright, next skill, Consecration. Everyone in your Blessed Circle gains 26% bonus damage, with the Dusk Mage gaining an additional 15% per ally in the circle. So this is going to be one of those abilities that you're probably going to grab if you're playing with other people. Alright, I'm more of a solo player, and even though it seems like, it is nice to get that extra bonus, that 26% bonus of damage, the problem is the circle is very small, okay? It is kind of tiny. And it is true, the more points you dump into it, that it will get 25% larger, and it will also give a 25% chance to become intangible on potion use. I don't really know what that means. I'm not going to lie. 25% chance to become intangible. Not really sure what that means. Consecration, 25% larger and knocks back enemies. I don't know if it was a bug or not, but I have actually seen that happen. I was using this for a while, and when I put that down, enemies would be kind of booted out of it, and they would come back and only be able to get so far into that circle. Tier 3 Consecration heals 3% total health per second. Now that is nice. I will say that is a nice ability. However, we're obviously limited on the amount of abilities that we can use. It's one of those things. More damage or a heal when I have potions that are fairly unlimited. I don't know. I think I'd rather just have stronger overall abilities. I'm drinking some delicious coffee. All right. Another ability that I will likely not end up using is this Light Spear. It is a light skill. Fire a spear made of light that deals 213% damage and pierces targets. It does a very thin and narrow piercing area of effect damage, and because of that, it's redundant with this. And honestly, this is better. And then on top of it, oops, wrong button. It looks cool, don't get me wrong, but check out how long it takes for that to come back. Oh, there we go. Okay, so it takes a little while for that to come back. And that's not really fun. Sure, you're going to do all your damage and get it done. But when you're fighting things... When you're actually fighting things of the same level, this is way too short. Especially on bosses. Are you kidding me? So, I wasn't too impressed with that particular ability. And that is definitely not going to be an ability that I'm going to be using in any of my builds unless that is changed. So sorry, but I don't like it. Alright, next up, Radiant Blast. Now this one I do like. Unfortunately, you do have to be level 15 in order to acquire this ability, but I do think that of all the light abilities right now that I have access to, this is the best one, Radiant Blast. Light skill that blasts enemies at target location with holy light, dealing 141% weapon damage. Alright. And of course, as you dump skills into it, or I'm sorry, not skills, as you dump points into it, that blast damage will go up as you go. So, Tier 1 bonus, infused enemies explode on death for 100% weapon damage. Got that. Tier 2, 30% damage for basic attacks. That stinks because I don't use basic attacks, even when I have the right build on here. Tier 3 bonus, exploding infused enemies infuse those they hit. So if the infused enemy explodes, it will then infuse other enemies, and then they'll explode, and you'll have a nice little chain reaction. So it's kind of like Contagion in that sense. But this is a fun ability. It's got a wide area of effect. And you can't quite put it wherever you want to, so you do still have to be fairly close to an enemy. But it does a decent amount of damage. Now, granted, these are level, 2 baddies, and I'm level 16, so, of course, the damage that I'm going to be doing to them is going to be maxed out for this particular level. And I do, this is a very low-level area, so would still be considered a high level for these particular guys with the level cap. Which, by the way, I hope they get rid of. All right. And last light ability that I can show you today is going to be a Luminous Run. It is a movement skill. One of 2 that the Dusk Mage has. Light skill that dash forward to enter a spectral plane where you move faster and can pass through enemies. Passing through allies grants them a temporary speed boost as well. So cool. Walk through your friends. The Tier 1 bonus activates Luminous Run, heals you for 10% of your total health. Cool, especially if you're in a tight situation. It's nice to get a little bit of boost to your health. Tier 2 bonus plus 20% relic active skill damage. So you're going to do more damage with your active relic skill. Casting Luminous Run makes you immune to damage for all of 1 second, y'all. 1 second. Will it get you out of a tight spot? Yes, it will. Is it gonna save your ass overall? Nope. So use it wisely, and this is what it looks like. So you do have to make sure that you use it wisely, because as you can see, I just used both of the 2 charges that it has, and they do take a little while to come back. So keep that in mind. It's not too terribly long, especially for a movement skill, but that kind of cooldown is still there, as it should be. Now, this is one of those where I do feel it should have a longer cooldown. The fact that we get 2, not bad. All right. Moving on to dark skills. I do like the dark skills a lot more than I like the light skills. Not all of them are great, as you will soon find out. Okay. Now, for the dark skills, you do need to be a bit more choosy. Not just because some of them suck, and when they suck really bad, but because some of them are, there's a lot more good ones, and it's really hard to choose between which one will fit your particular play style. I know I've had a hard time because I do like these abilities, honestly. I think some of these are really great, with the exception of this very first one, Unholy Bolt. Let me get out of here. I probably should have talked about it first. Bam! All right, Unholy Bolt. It is a dark skill, and it will fill up your light bar. It unleashes 3 serpentine bolts towards your foes for 100% weapon damage each. A tier 1 bonus will add 1 more bolt, so at first you fired 3, then you get to fire 4. Tier 2, dark skill damage goes up by 20%, and the tier 3 bonus adds 2 more bolts to each cast. Yay! Okay, those don't seem very intuitive bonuses, because this isn't the most greatest example, but I have had times like this. You know, I was highlighting it, and it did not even go towards the guy, okay? And well, okay, to be fair, that dude's already dead. That's just glitched out. See, that was another good example. You don't always hit your targets. And if you're using mana, now granted, it's not a lot of mana. I can do this for a while before I finally run out, but the problem is it is still very inaccurate, and you're not guaranteed a hit. So it's just like using UDP over TC. You're just kind of throwing it out there. Pray to God it hits. Okay. Next up is going to be one of my more favorite abilities. I do like this ability because it serves multiple purposes. Not only does it slow the enemies, but it does damage over time. And I like it a lot. It also causes them to move. So they will try to get out of this. The AI is smart enough to say, hey, this guy just put down something that I should not be standing in, and it will try to get out of it. And because of that, you might cause it to stop doing an attack. Now, granted, that's mostly the lower character, baddies, not like champions or bosses. They don't care that you put this down. Not at all. So, and that is nice. And it looks kind of cool. So let's take a look at it. It is a dark skill. Summon shadowy spears to strike your foes for 108% weapon damage every second and slows enemies by 50%. It lasts, as you can see, for about 9 seconds. And as you level it up, it will increase the damage. Tier 1 bonus, 50% duration for dark spears. Tier 2, minus 10% cooldown for Dusk Mage skills, which is great because almost all Dusk Mage, all of the dark skills have a cooldown, so having that being even just a little bit down a little bit is great because these are going to be your heavier hitting abilities. I think they did that on purpose, having your heavy hitters raise your regeneration, your mana regeneration bar, and your meh kind of skills helping you boost up that damage, so that way you do form that perfect balance. And that's going to be something I'm going to talk about a little bit later. So the one thing I don't like about Dusk Mage. All right, the Tier 3 bonus. The Dark Spears now immediately hits the area for 100% weapon damage. I don't know what that looks like. And based on how I'm reading it, it makes it sound like all the damage is just going to be done then and there. I like that and I don't like that. I'd rather... It's weird to kind of want the damage over time versus just doing the damage, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to try to see how that works versus just what it says there. All right. Anyway. Another mobility skill that we have here is called Shadow Step. It is a movement skill. Tier 1 bonus, hit enemies at start location and gain 5% mana per enemy hit. I gotta drink some coffee. Tier 2 bonus, 15% increased mana regeneration. Tier 3 bonus, Shadow Step now has 4 charges, which is great. It's always nice having a movement skill get a bit of a buff so that way you can get out of sticky situations, because there was one thing, and I think this is probably... I have not noticed that other classes get more than one movement skill. So if I'm not mistaken, Sharpshooter gets a blink ability. I don't even know what... I forgot what the Rail Master gets. I mean, honestly, I can't think of what the Rail Master gets to get out of tight situations, other than just pounding its way out of there. So the Dusk Mage, though, in my experience, there's a reason why I have so little potions, is because I have to use a lot of them. A part of that is because I chose 1 point for every single ability, as opposed to building a build and being stronger for it. So I'm sure that has something to do with it. But it is a nice ability. It's like a blink. She enters, or he, she, whatever it is that you choose. Matter of fact, believe it or not, I chose a guy. This is not a female character. It's actually a guy character. And steps through that portal and short distance, and it is just enough to get the hell out of there, because it is very easy to get stuck, especially on bosses. Just to get kind of stuck, and trying to get out of there kind of sucks. So it's a nice little ability. It's good. It does exactly what it says it does. The next ability coming up is going to be Spirit Well. It is another dark skill. Summon a portal into the Nether Realm, taking control of evil monsters who do 40% of your weapon damage to any monsters in your way. Now, what I do like about it is that it adds a spectral Nether Realm warrior to the Spirit Well. Now, granted, I don't know if that means that it's going to add another one on top, or if it's going to take one, because this is what it looks like. Or if it's going to take one of these away and replace it with something else. So I don't know if that's quite what it means yet. I haven't had a chance to really take a look at that. Tier 2 bonus, plus 65% damage for pets. That would be fantastic. And then the Tier 3 bonus is to summon that Spectral Netherrim Brute to the Spirit Well. This will be a fun ability, and this is one of those that I use in my build because it is great. If nothing else, it's another damage over time. The only downside is that these little boogers can die. So you have to take that into consideration. And you can't really tell where that damage is going. That's another bad thing about it. Is it going to go to the right thing that I wanted to attack to in a boss fight? Because I always have ads. Well, everything's going to die in one way or the other, right? So I honestly like it. I will be using it. Next up, Energy Spike. This is another ability that I like a lot. Conjure a series of cascading chaotic spikes to strike enemies for 458% damage. This is a level 15 ability, as well as Spirit Well. And you can see it, right? Oh, I'm sorry. It's a level 10 ability. 5, 10. And I like these abilities a lot. That's right. The level 10 ability was just that, Damnation. I like this ability quite a bit. I'm a fan of the Barbarian ability, and you'll have to forgive me because I completely forgot. It's when he slams it down and just like all those rocks come up in that little cone. It's the same thing, but in a magic version of it, and it does a really cool job. Here, let me get somewhere where you can see it better. And wrong button. Okay. So that, it didn't look like anything special there because I'm in a tight area. Normally there's like 3 of those that go out, and it's a pretty good area. Oh, here we go. So you can see it kind of goes out in a slightly wider area. And I do like how it works. I'm going to try to actually kill this thing. Alright, you just saw me use an ability I haven't showcased yet. But I don't have my build set up the way I should for any type of champion. So just bear with me. Alright, and I summoned those guys. So I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here for right now. Because, again, it's one of the reasons why you're going to hear me talk about why I don't like this class is because... And I'll talk to it a little bit later. But you'll hear me talk about it. Alright. So, good timing because this last one doesn't really need to be showcased with a group of baddies or anything like that. This last one here, Damnation, is a dark skill. Enemies deal 30% less damage while standing in the Damnation area effect, lasting for 4 seconds. Thereafter, duration 8 seconds. You saw me kind of put it down. This isn't really necessarily for you to stand in, but it is nice to put it under big baddies, so that way they do less damage to you. And this guy really wants to kill me. So let's go back to my fort for now, because in terms of attacking, I'm done. All right. So going back to my beautiful camp and using that ability, it's tier bonuses. Hitting an enemy affected by damnation returns 5% mana, which is nice, but not necessary. I don't know if the final product means that my regeneration is going to be a little bit lower, but honestly, to get 5% mana back just because I'm using a skill is dumb, all right? Honestly, this character has a crazy amount of mana regeneration. It doesn't take that long. It does not take that long to get that back. I mean, look at it go down. I'm going to use a big bunch of it. I mean, I can barely use it before I get it back. And it only takes a few seconds for it to come back again. In a big fight, I can see where that could be a problem. But then again, I'm also not using that much mana because I do have to maintain a balance. Light skills don't take up as much mana as the dark skills. So, you know, using an entire tier bonus for that, really? Minus 20% relic active skill cooldowns, which is nice. But again, the active skill cooldowns, one thing I'm not really sure is if it means when I push the E button versus the actual active skill that we get. Because there is another ability that we get with each relic. And I'll show you that in a second too. And the tier 3 bonus, Damnation, immobilizes enemies for 1 second. Now, one thing I have noticed, I am not at tier 3, but it does it right now. So that is a nice little glitch that I have where I get the tier 3 bonus without actually leveling it up. All right, so on to the relics, and to show you what I was talking about. The relics, all of them have an active skill as well. So they call this Activate Bane. To get a 55% chance to poison for 50% damage over 4 seconds. A poison storm surrounds you that poisons enemies for 50% weapon damage, and a 25% damage buff is shared to all allies in the area. Now, the issue that I have with this is that the area, are they talking about that area? Because if I have my buddies that are standing that close to me, we're setting ourselves up for failure. Okay, that's I would hope that the area is going to be, oops, probably heard that, my bad. I hope that the area is going to be a little bit bigger so that way we have a little bit of freedom to walk around or whatever, because I don't have to go very far before my buddy would lose that aura if that's the case. All right. But I do like this ability. I do like this relic. It puts a poison, does more damage over time, and it is very handy. With that being said, its active skill I like even more. I love summoning this little spider that walks in a straight line. Now in here you can't really see it because there's nothing breakable here. But if I were in an area that had a lot of breakable stuff, it would break things in a very wide radius, and that is kind of cool. Okay, because it's also affecting enemies in that same wide radius. It does damage as it tramples over bad guys, and it also poisons them, so it will do damage over time. Summon an ancient spider spirit that surges forward, doing 203% on impact and poisoning enemies for 203 weapon damage per second for 4 seconds. That is a nice amount of damage. And we also have the ability to further customize those abilities as we see fit. So we'll be able to put some extra points in there, whether it's to increase the toxicity, cooldowns, damage output, criticals, increase the character's critical strike while the Bane is activated. I mean, a bunch of different things. We got the coronavirus here. We've got 8-legged allies that get summoned. We got the spread of death. When you hit a poison enemy, there's a 32% chance on spawn missiles from the target that deals another 47% damage to anything that those hit. So, not bad. Not bad. Now, that's the one that I liked. So let's go to our relic station here. And these are all of our available choices that we have right now. From what I understand, we're supposed to be getting more. But more importantly, they've already talked about making changes to some of these, because so far I've used Flaming Destroyer, which I like, and I'm using that on my Railmaster right now. Very appropriate. That dude is already doing a lot of fire damage, so having this one honestly just makes it all the more perfect. Electrode I am using on my Sharpshooter, and this is really perfect for her too. I mean, it's just this is a great thing to a great relic to use. Okay, I'm not going to go into these right now. I already went over the Flaming Destroyer in a previous video, and Electrode was showcased during my very first stream where I was playing the Sharpshooter, and I used these abilities and talked about it quite a bit. So I'm going to talk about this Cold Heart. Cold Heart. I don't like this one. Flat out, I don't like it. Okay? And the reason for it. When I activate the skill, it has this circle, a hefty circle, don't get me wrong. But what it does is it freezes enemies, and then when I attack them, I do crit, breaking them pretty much instantly. Oh man, that sounds great, right? Sounds great. Except it doesn't affect champions. It doesn't affect uniques. It doesn't affect the little mini bosses that you run into, and it sure as hell doesn't affect any stage bosses. Like, at all. Doesn't even damage them. So it's kind of useless when you're fighting bosses. You think that an oh shit button that has a 120-second cooldown would be more useful all around. That's what I would want. Something that is useful all around. Not just against mobbing. So, but to add insult to injury, the active skill that they have, or that Cold Heart has, sounds great. Summon a glacier that knocks back chills for 2 seconds and deals 90% weapon damage per hit to monsters. Serves as an obstacle until it melts after only 6 seconds. And then it goes on to where you could freezing touch. Enemies who hit you have a chance to become frozen. This actually would look pretty cool. I would like to test this. When you slay chilled enemies, there's a 15% chance you'll summon an ice golem to fight alongside you for 20 seconds. Now, that does actually sound really cool. And then Ice Age. Activating Cold Heart now also drops icicles all around you that deals 40% weapon damage per hit. This is what it needed to be to begin with. But now I have to wait till level 30 to get it. That needs to go here. And then this can go there. That's what I think. Because having that ability actually do damage, especially to bosses where you probably need it most, would be most beneficial. Now, in a lot of cases, bosses do summon small little guys that come at you, and honestly, that's the hardest part of boss fights in this game, because fighting off all of those little dudes at the same time trying to dodge attacks from the big guy. But when you're fighting an act boss, it's just one-on-one. So your oh shit button is now useless. So I kind of hope they make some tweaks to make this better. So to show you what the active skill looks like, bam! That looks cool. It does. It does. And then it'll melt in about 6 seconds. It does damage on impact, pushes all enemies away. And what I like to do especially is throw down the dark spears and then push enemies right into it. And it's got a fairly short cooldown too, and it just keeps them there, keeps them getting damage on that thing, and that's fine. The problem is it doesn't work for champions, it doesn't work for uniques, it doesn't work for bosses or those little the map mini bosses, let alone act bosses. So it does the damage, but it does not do any of the other crowd control stuff on them. So that's kind of a bummer. All right, so that is really it for now. So far, I have talked about, I've played in great length the Sharpshooter. I have a previous video was about the Railmaster, where I showcased where the character class can be at a certain level. But I didn't go over each of the skills. I promise my next video on the Railmaster post new update will showcase more abilities. So, all right. And then the next build video or character class discussion video will be the Automaton, the Forged. So, and I would like to know from y'all if you think it'd be a better idea to do it the way I did it with the Railmaster, where I actually make a build and then just talk about the abilities, or dump a point into each of the abilities so that way I can showcase them here, but obviously a bit weaker. So your choice. I'm curious. I'm curious as to which one you thought was better. All right. Well, that's it for now. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment in the section below. Throw it a like, subscribe. And until next time, I'll talk to you later. Horseman out.